Last year, it was announced that we were going to get a horror game that is a night shift horror. But unlike a lot of the horror games we get, it was supposed to be giving us a full simulation experience as well as an actual story that goes way in depth with the characters, something that hadn't really been done yet. And on the 13th of March, 2026, we were bestowed with this game, known only as Cornershop Night Shift. The game lets you take a night shift job in a place that runs on habit, not really purpose, and you can restock shelves, take deliveries, clean messes, and try to make it till morning. Not everything will feel right, and you're never really going to be alone. Something is always waiting for you in the dark. This game was developed and published by Live Motions Games, as well as published with Playway SA. And today we're going to talk about, is it really worth the price that they're giving us? And was the game any fun? Did they even deliver on the promises they made? Well, let's talk about it. You play as a guy named Adam, and Adam is going through some big problems. He has no job. His psychiatrist is hounding on him. His wife isn't there for some unknown reason that you're only going to find out midway through the story, and I'm not here to give you the spoilers. And his daughter. He is trying to get back his daughter. And so when he comes out of the subway and he stumbles across this creepy, rundown, haunted store, and he is offered the job by a shadowy figure up in the roof, all he can do is agree. And that's where our story of young Adam begins. Now, at this job, it's basically just a normal convenience store job. You're going to mop the floors, you're going to pick up the trash, you're going to stock the shelves, you're going to order produce, and you're going to help out customers. Now, this isn't a job simulator in which you own the store, but it is a one that you work the store. So you still answer to a boss and you still do those kind of tasks. But it's almost like you're in a management position in a way because you're in charge of how the store layout goes and how quickly you can unlock things. And there are quite a few things to unlock. You start out with just a couple shelves at tier 1, and you can upgrade those up to 3 tiers. And the tiers basically just limit what type of produce you can do. And of course, the higher the tier, the more expensive the produce, the more money you can make. You can also adjust the prices. If you adjust the prices too high, people obviously won't buy it. But if you adjust it just a little bit, that's more money that goes in your pocket because you're getting paid daily from the store. And you need that in order to survive. However, while you're running the night shift, it's not just customers, even though the customers are weird on their own. We have some really strange people, everything from drug addicts to hobos to people who seem to know you, but you have no recollection of where they came from or what they're talking about. But they seem to know everything. And there is a story to be pieced here, piece by piece. And you don't even realize it until you're coming upon the end, how it all fits together. It's very puzzle-like in the psychological horror section of the game. But in the storefront of the game, again, there's a lot to unlock. And if you're a person who loves upgrades, like I do, then you'll enjoy that. At the cash register, you can unlock things like a self-checkout. You can put cigarettes up there. You can get a coffee station. You can get alcohol sales, all of stuff which gives you a bonus that goes into your personal account, which again, you'll need. And then you can even do things like a kebab stand and a sandwich making station, which I will argue, me, along with other players, did not understand how to use the sandwich and kebab station. They really should have put a tutorial on that because I got lost. And looking at the discussion forums, a lot of people did get lost. A nice little text message pop-up, which is how they usually give you instructions anyways, would have been very convenient for that section. But besides the point, it is nice that we can have these small upgrades and expand the shop with the shop account. Again, as I mentioned, you'll need your personal account for your personal things, but you'll also spend the shop money. The shop's money has to earn enough to keep things restocked and upgrade things as you go. Your personal account, that is what's going to upgrade your home. Because at the end of each shift, you go home. And when you're at home, you have tasks to do as well. You have to meet a certain criteria or a certain standing with a lot of categories in order to beat the end game for a good ending. You are a psychiatric patient. You're trying to get your daughter back. The court has to see that you are meeting certain standards, all of which is explained once you're in the game. Again, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but you have to do things like taking edu scam courses, which is basically like, I guess, like a college course of some kind. You have a social meter, how you interact with customers. Is it good? Is it bad? What's your relationship with your psychiatrist? What's your relationship with family? A lot to cover. This game can get very overwhelming very quickly, especially when you're playing the story mode and you only have so many days before that court date approaches. Now, depending what you do before that date approaches, depends what kind of ending you get. There's 4 endings. I got 2 of the endings. You can catch them in the video that's probably tagged up here or down below. We played the full game and total full parts. It took me just under 10 hours to beat the story mode. Now, the story mode is not the only thing in the game. There is an endless mode, which is basically the exact same thing. You get the store, you get your apartment, you get to upgrade both, and just earn money just night after night after night, seeing how long you survive. But I will say the story in itself is what makes this game special. It is the story that made me intrigued to play the game. I highly recommend the story before you go into endless mode. They also have a section where you can do Twitch integrations if you are a Twitch streamer. I myself am not. I do Kick, TikTok, and YouTube. But if you are a Twitch streamer, you can integrate and do things with your chat there. Overall, the story is probably the best part of the game. But aside from that, you have to take into consideration the anomalies that you get with and without the story. You have to take the gameplay, the originality, and visually and audio, it does pretty well. The originality, there's nothing else on the market like this right now. So that is something I got to give big points to. We had reviewed it in the past. This was the score I got during the actual Nomadic demo review. That was when it was in a demo of the early phase of the game, long before it released. We were so lucky to have received a key to the game to play it after it had released on the 13th of March. So even as you're watching this now, the game is barely a week old, and this is still an early after release review. I think it's only been patched and updated once since it's come out. But on the downsides of those categories, the audio, for the most part, is pretty good. Most of the characters, aside from the customers, have voice acting. But at the end of the game, if you go to the court section, or if you find the magic dancing character, the magic dancing character just for some reason has no voice acting, and there could be a scripted lore there, but it is to note that there is no voice acting there. And then when you get to the courtroom, the judge's voice just kind of crumbles sometimes. He doesn't finish the sentences, so thank goodness there's subtitles there, because sometimes the voice acting is incomplete, so to speak. Also, at the courtroom, we had a nasty bug where we were walking, and you're supposed to walk to your chair, and we just kept walking. We walked straight to the wall. I couldn't turn my head. I couldn't move my character. I couldn't do anything but walk into the wall. I had to reload. I was so scared that I was going to have to replay the whole day. Didn't end up having to, thank goodness, because of an autosave. But there's a lot of bugs that happened at the end game. Like the end game, the supposed to be big finale that you're waiting, it's supposed to be polished, bringing you joy. That's where most of the problems happened. Now, not all of them. There were some other problems. There are some pathing issues, and one of the recent updates was supposed to fix it. It didn't. Still a lot of pathing issues where characters will just bump into each other, and they'll get stuck on each other. And they'll just keep ramming and ramming and ramming and just freeze. Aside from that, some of the active events in the game that we have, such as the lights going off and the clothing monster, if you played, you know, if you're going to play, you'll find out the clothing monster. Those are too predictable, and they happen too often, every single night. Every single night, the power is going to go off at least 2-3 times. And the closing monster is almost a guarantee once a night. It would be more special and a little bit more scary if it only happened occasionally. Or when the lights go out, the puzzle is pretty complex, especially once you unlock the double breaker system after expanding the shop. But since there's bugs on the ceiling that's always making noise, there's a certain audio and a certain visual that will tell you that, hey, in a few seconds, the lights are going to go off. Makes it way too predictable, and you can definitely over-prepare for that. And I appreciate the game not being insanely hard on these challenges, because it is probably the most challenging puzzle in the game, although it's not incredibly challenging. It's predictable. It's too predictable. You already know what's going to happen. You know when it's going to happen. Nothing's really stopping you. The only other fact is that it just feels overwhelming because of everything happening. But because you don't get any real penalties from working overtime past 6 a.m. when you're supposed to clock out, there's no major consequences. So once you figure out that process, it's like, just focus on whatever the most important thing is at the time. It could definitely use some fixing to make it more scary, more unpredictable. That's the only thing I would add to the random events because most of them are pretty good. Now, the question that a lot of people are asking, is it worth playing and did it keep up on its promises? And overall, I would say yes. For the most part, it kept up on its promises. We got a story mode really in depth with different characters. It doesn't just go in depth with one character, but many. It gives you a psychological puzzle that you cannot predict. You cannot predict. We got multiple endings along with that too. And then if you like the store simulation, you get an endless mode too. So, Supermarket Simulator, scary version with an in depth psychological horror story. That's a big deliverance. And I say they met every quota. And is it worth playing? I would say if you like story or you like time management, exploration, immersive supermarket simulators, you're going to have fun with this. You're going to have a good time. It is worth it. And currently, with it only being roughly 166,000 rupiah, I'd say for that price tag, it's worth it, especially when the story mode alone gives you almost 10 hours, and then you have an endless mode on top of that. And you can always wait for a Steam sale if you'd like to, but at the full price, my humble opinion, still worth it for the price. For what you get out of it, it's worth. I'm curious to know if you have played this game. I want to know down in the comments, what was your take on it? Did you enjoy it? And was it worth the price tag to you? That being said, this game is early on. As of the recording of this review, I have finished the game as it is now. Finished the story mode, unlocked practically all of what there is to unlock, but it still needs some polish. It still needs some things kinked out. There are some bugs that need removed. By the time this game has been out for a couple months, who knows, maybe they'll have a huge fixing on a lot of these things, bumping the score even higher. As the game stands right now, it's worth it. I'm hyped to see what else this studio comes out with in the future. They did a splendid job, and I'd love to hear your opinions down in the comment. And if you want to see the full gameplay, there's probably going to be a link at least to the starting video down below, if not popping up on the screen somewhere. So if you want to check out my playthrough, feel free to click on it. Check it out. We got 4 episodes of it, start to the finish. And if you like this kind of content, make sure you give it a like. If you dislike it, dislike it. And if you love it, subscribe. Here we do honest game reviews, and our staple is reviewing games before they come out, which we have a lot more of those coming as well in the future. So make sure you're hitting the bell so you don't miss out.
Disconnected.